So the parable, as we read, is all about God's invitation to join him. Jesus, again, talks about it as a wedding feast, and the dad of the groom invites all of his friends and family to join him. Pretty standard, good start, Jesus. We can all relate to that. Weddings, woot woot. And then, of course, Jesus continues to speak and throws us all for a spin. He says, none of them show up. Worse, they flat out ignore him. And when the dad, who, again, Jesus makes very clear, is also the king, he sends out more servants to remind them and just to urge them to come. And yet, what's their response? They beat and insult and sometimes even kill the servants for dictating to them what they should or shouldn't do. For to them, as their actions and inactions clearly communicate, they don't see this person as their king. And so this is one of my favorite practices with Scripture, to just kind of make it come alive so that we can empathize and visualize. So I'm going to paraphrase it, same exact story, paraphrase it just a little bit so we can get involved. Sound good? Fabulous. So imagine it for a moment. Imagine being the parent of the groom. You are royalty, and none of your family and friends want to show up for the big day. That is soul crushing. And what are you going to say to your son? The day of, when he arrives and sees that all of the chairs are empty, and that all of the preparations and the food and the excitement, they turn sour in your mouth. And so what does he do? He tells his servants that these chairs need to get filled now. Invite everyone, he says. Go to the street corners, go to the bar, go to the D&D session, I don't care. Just find them. Everyone is invited. Anyone can come to the celebration of my son's wedding. Now, switch perspectives with me for just a moment. Imagine being a homeless man or woman on the street, and you see someone with the king's sigil on their chest approach you. And you've probably have had this happen before, and it's not usually a good omen. They are probably about to ask you to leave, get out of the city, there's a parade, there's something, you are in the way, right? And yet, the servant walks up, awkward smile on their face, and hands you a letter with the king's royal seal, just wax seal emblazed on it. And you think it's all just a weird prank, and yet you open it, and in it says, you have been cordially invited to the celebration of the king's son wedding, reserved for friends and family. And he wants you there. So what do? For me, I would pee my pants. But then after that, I would just be in a mad frenzy to get as ready as quickly as possible. And so it's in the freaking royal palace. I don't know about you, but I would want to look my best for him, because suddenly the impossibilities of me meeting the king are suddenly well within the possibility realm. I was about to say realm twice. Anyway, and I would want to make sure that if by some chance I got to meet him, he would be glad he invited me. And as is true in my actual life, as much as this hypothetical one, I don't have much in the way of fancy clothes on the scale of a royal wedding, but I would try my best. And that's all that matters. So you arrive at the wedding, and you do see the king, and you just grin ear to ear. And then you see someone you vaguely recognize stumble in, and he's dirty, he stinks, and he clearly doesn't care. You know, we've all kind of seen that face, the like phony arrogance as they swagger in, they treat everything like a joke. And you see the king just beeline for him. And you, being a good human, you lean in. And you don't catch every word, but you see the arrogance slip away from the man as the king throws him out. And the dude's pride refuses to give way enough to honor the king in the heart of the celebration for his son. This story forces us to consider who this king, who our God really is inviting to the feast, to his home. The answer is awesome and painful in equal measure. Go God. Because the answer is everyone. And I don't think we've really taken a moment to appreciate the full scale of what everyone means. It's the outcasts. It's the annoying people. It's the hateful ones. It's the bitter people in our lives. And it's the people that are doing way better than us. Everyone is invited. It's to us. It's to all of us. Everyone gets to play. But again, if that's true, then why is this guy kicked out? And the way that Jesus phrases it, because again, this was a parable, he hints that he was cast into the ultimate banishment from God. Hell. The one place in all of existence where God's presence doesn't touch. And just like the warrior I told you about, banishment equals death. And also like the warrior, we see that same spirit play out amidst these two characters. Both refuse to accept the king's role in their lives. Because acknowledgement isn't enough. Simply saying that the king is the king isn't enough. It isn't enough to just show up to eat and then leave. If you're not there to support the king, you're there for the wrong reasons. Because what the king is really inviting them into and inviting us into is the position of friends and family, to bow before him and trust in his kingdom of goodness and righteousness and life everlasting. He didn't just want seat warmers. He wanted us to join with him in the joy of the moment, to be with him and his son